Justice League, otherwise known as Joston League, otherwise known as shit. Justice League follows the team up of Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Cyborg, and the Flash as they have to take on Steppenwolf, who has come down to Earth to collect these things called the Mother Boxes, so he can basically turn Earth into hell because it's his destiny. That's the long and short of it. The plot's not really interesting. It's just not, especially not in this cut. I mean, from the start, when you hear the score, which isn't the people that have done the previous two scores, which was Junkie XL and Hans Zimmer, you just kind of know this movie's going to be off. I mean, I watched it again recently for the second time, but I remember the first time watching it, I heard the music and I was like, oh dear, oh dear. You can tell a lot about the tone of a movie just by the soundtrack, and when you hear this, it's by Danny Elfman, who's a good composer. You know, I'm not gonna shit on him. Like he did the original Spider-Man scores, and they were dope. You know, but I can't even speak. What he did for this just wasn't suited. It didn't work. It was very off tone. It was shit. Yeah, that's my take on it. And another thing, we're starting off talking about the music, but they use like normal songs. And here just songs, which they didn't do in Man of Steel or Batman v Superman, so it felt very, once again, off tone. Just didn't fit. It's not right. Now this movie just moves too fast, way too fast. The movie's too short for starters. It's 2 hours, and that's because Warner Brothers, cut this down completely. I mean, just to clarify, the reason this film was just a complete disaster production-wise was because Zack Snyder, who did Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, had started making this movie, but then he had to leave due to like a personal tragedy, so he had to step away from the production. They got someone else in called Joss Whedon, hence Joston League, and they made a lot of cuts. They changed the tone of the movie, they changed the story, they changed a lot of things, and that's why it's a mess on screen, because it was a real mess off screen. So yeah, they obviously cut it down to 2 hours for theatrical release, and they were trying to fit far too big a story in far too little a runtime. And it's what I've said before with other movies, like, people would rather have a good movie than a short one. And this is a movie that's short and shit, so, good job. I mean, this movie just feels like a shitty action movie that features the Justice League. It's so cheesy, it's so crap. But it just happens to have Batman in it, and Aquaman, and Wonder Woman, and all this. It's so cliche the way it's told, and there's so much exposition. So much. Well, it's not actually that much, but it feels like a lot. It's just your typical exposition that you expect. Like, there's no building up for things. They just explain it. Like, why is Steppenwolf here? Who is he? Oh, I'll tell you. I'll tell you now. Don't worry. It'll only take a couple minutes. And this film was just in a real hurry to get the plot rolling, get it started, get it moving, without really thinking about what had happened in the past two films. Like, at the end of Batman v Superman, obviously spoilers, but you probably already knew this, but Superman dies, and that's like a big fucking deal. That's a huge deal. Lex Luthor has sort of called Steppenwolf in a sense. He's made contact with him. That's how we know he's going to be on the way. And yeah, Superman's dead, and they spend no time mourning him at the beginning. That there should have been like 20 minutes of just, at least 20 minutes of like calm, peace, as people mourn, as people get over the fact that they've lost the man that like saved them twice from, like complete destruction of the earth. But they couldn't be asked for that, so they just fucking cracked straight into it. You got Bruce Wayne saying, I need to form a team, I need to form a team, I need to form a team, I need a team, do you want to join, blah, 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 blah. It's like that from the very start, to be honest. Imagine if they tried to squeeze Infinity War and Endgame, both those movies, into just a 2-hour slot. It wouldn't work. I mean, that's at least 5.5 hours of movies, I'm pretty sure, for those two. Because Infinity War's like 2.5, Endgame's 3 hours. Imagine, cutting out 2.5 hours of that and putting it in one movie. It just wouldn't work. Obviously, we're getting a 4-hour cut, which is what we need. We need double the time to fix all this. This isn't completely awful. Not completely. There are some glimpses of hope, of what we know we're actually going to get in this Snyder Cut next year. There are bits of potential here. And that potential is really just from all the characters. Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, I've listed them all before. But, the new additions like Aquaman, The Flash, and Cyborg, you see these glimpses, of potential, and there's chemistry between the cast. And you see that, and you want more, you want better, like a better version of it. and I'm hoping that's what we should get. You know, I think the standout, I mean, it's not really hard to stand out in this, but I think the standout was probably Ezra Miller as the Flash. He was very funny, and he brings like a really, you know, just good level of humor to his character. I'm not sure if the Flash is meant to be like a funny character, or if they've just done that for his version. I don't really know a whole lot about the Flash, but I really like his portrayal of it, and I look forward to seeing more. And with Cyborg as well, he's a bit, I guess, bland, but they don't really explore his character enough to make you support him. There's no problem with being a bland character, you know, when it's dependent on the character, because some characters are like that. You know, they're like to the point, they're quite monotone, that sort of thing. And Zack Snyder said that Cyborg is really meant to be the heart of the movie. Or he's meant to be the heart of the Justice League film, because he has like this relation to the mother boxes, which is the things that sort of the main thing. It's like their version of like the Infinity Stones. Sort of, there's like 3 mother boxes. Get them all together, you can cause a whole lot of this like destruction. So it's sort of their equivalent. And Cyborg has this connection to them because he's sort of formed from a mother box. That's why he's all like mechanical and he can do all this crazy shit. And, you know, Zack Snyder saying he's meant to be the heart of the movie. I mean, it makes total sense. But in this, they sort of imply that he's an important part, but he doesn't really get a chance to do a whole lot, and we don't really get a chance to explore his character, and you never see any backstory for him, you know, like his origin, how he came to be. But, you know, a lot of the things I'm saying weren't good, and, you know, things that needed to be explored are going to be explored, you know, so they're saying. So, I don't know, these complaints, I'm not too bothered in a sense, you know, because if I'd just seen this movie, you know, when it came out, or maybe later, and I didn't think there was ever going to be a Snyder Cut, I'd be fuming right now, because even more pissed, to be honest, because I think, oh god, this is such a mess. I wish they'd done it right, but we know they're getting this second chance, thank god. You know, I like Ben Affleck in this again. It's not him. I don't know what it is. It's something a bit off with him in this. I guess it's just the writing and the direction of it. They make him say some really cringy shit, so that kind of really puts you off his character. What happened there? Just don't enjoy it as much as, say, you do in Batman v Superman, where he's just fucking immense. But, you know, he continues to look badass in his suit, you know, kicking ass, and I like seeing him in Gotham. That's pretty cool. I hope we get more of that, because we haven't really seen a whole lot of Gotham, and I'd like to see more. But, you know, this is just not a sequel to Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. It's just not. It really isn't. It's so far away from those movies, and it just doesn't feel related like whatsoever, apart from the fact that the cast are the same. And, you know, I watched this on Netflix as well, and they say the director is Zack Snyder, and it's like, come on. I don't know if they're doing that to try and be respectful, like, this is Zack Snyder's movie, this is not Zack Snyder's movie, this is Joss Whedon's, and it's shit. Like I was saying, with the runtime being so short, you really don't get a lot of time with every character. It's like constant bouncing back and forth between like certain characters, and you barely get any Lois, and you barely get any Martha, which is really shit, because Lois Lane has been so good in the other 2 movies, and so has Martha, and they're sort of the heart of those movies. They're what sort of make you sympathise a lot more with, you know, Superman, and get behind him and root for him, and, you know, that's what makes his sacrifices so, like, sort of meaningful in the end. But yeah, they maybe get 10 minutes of screen time together overall in the movie. That's probably actually too much. You know, the movie doesn't get better, it doesn't really get worse, it's just sort of poor from the start, and it just maintains that. You just have these moments that are quite good, which I can see them being, you know, parts of the movie that they will keep in the Snyder Cut, because as Zack Snyder said, this is probably like a quarter of what he has in mind. So it's not like you're gonna see this 2 hours of this movie go straight into Snyder Cut. Like, not at all. What you're really gonna get is supposedly an hour of this put in, but even then they probably reshot certain things, and, you know, get an hour of it in, you get 3 hours of new stuff, which is so fucking reassuring, because I would not want to see all 2 hours of this and then additional content. You know, it would help, but it wouldn't really, I don't know, you'd still have 2 hours of shit in there. So, oh my god, before I get to like the whole Superman coming back bit, there's this boring ass, stupid fucking part of the movie that's like just this Russian family that are just trapped in a house, and they show them like halfway through the movie just so they can be saved at the end. Like, it's meant to, you know, allow the audience to form some emotional attachment to them. Like, no, we literally don't give a shit. And the demon warrior things that are like flying, I don't know, they're just big bug people. They apparently can't break a window. It's like 5 minutes outside the house, like, oh shit, we can't get in and kill this family. It's like, dude, it's not hard. Just, I don't know. I don't know why that was even in there. It's very, very stupid. But yeah, Superman coming back. Well, that was just abrupt and fucking easy as shit. They have one of the mother boxes and they're just chilling. And they're like, oh, maybe we could use a mother box to bring back Superman. I was like, yeah, don't see why not. And then they just do it. They just know how to do it. It's done and dusted. Cookies and custard. And then he comes back. He's all pissy because he's kind of got some, I don't know, he's got like fucking memory loss. I don't know, he's just come back from the dead, so he's a little bit confused. Which makes sense, I guess. So he starts fighting the Justice League and like he fucks up Bruce a little bit. And then he sees Lois and he's like, oh yeah, that's the woman I love. Goes home with her for a bit and he's like, yeah, I'm back, bro. And then you don't see him for like half an hour. What the fuck is that about? Like, they just bring him back. It's meant to be a big moment. You bring back Superman, and you just don't see him for half an hour, and then he comes back at the end of the movie and saves the day. And it just doesn't feel like the Superman that we all, you know, not to sound cheesy here, but the Superman we all loved from, you know, Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. The one we actually felt a connection with. The one we were rooting for. The one we were genuinely sad when he died in that movie. And, you know, when you see sort of the dirt rising from his coffin at the end, you get that bit of hope, like, oh my god, he could fucking come back. That's sick. But, you know, in this, like I said, they don't mourn him, they don't do anything, they just bring him back about an hour and something into the movie, fucks off for about half hour, comes back at the end. And boy, that CG lip. Whew. Man, it's bad. It's bad. It's like he's trying not to move his mouth the way the CG is working. It's like he's saying words, but his top lip's not really moving like this. And it just looks stupid as shit. Thankfully, they've reshot stuff with Henry Cavill, and they didn't have to CG it because he was shaved at the time because he wasn't filming another movie and shit. So the reshoots are doing bits. I mean, hopefully they've just reshot all of Superman's stuff because he's only in the movie for about 10 minutes, if that. So it really wouldn't be hard to reshoot all his little bits where he's fucking in the movie. I'm hoping that's what they've done. I'm assuming that's what they have done because then we won't have to see CG moustache anymore. Or CG lack of moustache. They CG'd the moustache off, not on. I don't know. The wonders of CG. And talking of CG, this film just looks strange. I'm not going to lie. Like, it just... Even the scenes that aren't like fight scenes and it hasn't got any CG characters in it, I'm pretty sure there's still CG in those scenes. Like, you know, like a natural landscape will just look CG. Like they did it all by green screen. Like when Clark's in the field with Lois, you know, I think it's in Kansas or whatever, and you've got like a nice sunset. That sunset looks CG. It's just, the film as a whole looks very like oversaturated, over vibrant. Like someone just cranked the fucking levels up on Photoshop or whatever, and that's what it looks like. It doesn't look right. In other words, the film looked trash. I mean, I've barely talked about Steppenwolf because he was the most boring CG villain. I mean, most CG villains are fucking boring, but my god. He was boring. They deal with him so easily as well. He's like such a big threat. I don't think he's quite Thanos level. He's like, I guess like imagine this guy's Loki. And then there's this dude called Darkseid, who I guess is like the equivalent of Thanos. You don't see Darkseid in this, even though he gets mentioned once by Steppenwolf, and he's actually the big bad villain, you know. But I don't know if the point of this Justice League movie was to set up a movie where Darkseid's in it. I'm not really understanding the whole plan here. Darkseid's not in it, but he will be in the Snyder Cut. Many things will be in the Snyder Cut. Yeah, Steppenwolf, they deal with him way too easily, and then the reason his army, the way his army works, is they work by fear. So if people are scared of them, they'll attack them. And then as soon as Steppenwolf starts getting defeated, he gets scared. Pussy. And yeah, they carry him off into the sunset, into the sky, and... It doesn't make sense. So yeah, for such a huge threat, they dealt with him way too easy, and it's like I said, comparing it to Marvel, imagine if they dealt with Thanos that easily. Just, it wouldn't feel threatening. Honestly, rewatching this, I couldn't wait for it to be over. I had to keep pausing just to keep myself sane, like going grabbing some snacks, checking my phone. Shit was boring. You know, it honestly makes you feel bad for like the cast and Zack Snyder and stuff, because you can tell that there was something good meant to be here, and they were probably all really hopeful going into this, and then this is what they produced. This is what the end product was. I kind of felt bad for them, but I'm glad that they pushed for the Snyder Cut as well as fans, and Zack Snyder wanted it to come out too. So, you know, we got there in the end. So as a whole, this movie is really bad, really bad. This is a poor movie. It's really poor, and I'm gonna give it a 4. Poor 4. That's what this is. Really bad. I don't enjoy rewatching it, and I hopefully will never rewatch it again. Only Snyder Cuts from now on. The only thing in this was just the glimpses of what you will get eventually, and hopefully this will make us appreciate Snyder Cut a whole lot more, and we know we're going to get a much better movie. But you know, there's glimpses, and that shot we get near the end of this film where like the Justice League are all stood next to each other like in a line, that's badass, you know. So we'll get that properly, we'll get it how it's meant to be, and it will mean a lot more in the Snyder Cut. So yeah, just glad we got that out of the way, to be honest. We'll have Aquaman next in our DC lineup. I'm pretty sure that's what's next. So I'll see you in the next one.